Welcome to the Egyptian desert. It was here, in this unlikely landscape some 1700 years ago, that a wild countercultural movement was born, which would challenge and change the world to this day. In the 3rd century AD, men and women began leaving sophisticated metropolitan cities like Cairo, just 80 miles southeast of here, Alexandria, 90 miles northwest, in order to pursue lives of prayer and radical holiness here in the wilderness. And surprisingly, having fled the world, they began to change it. Fired with passion for Jesus, thousands began trekking out into the wilds of Egypt, Syria, and Arabia, seeking silence, solitude, and spiritual breakthroughs in the battle against sin. Ever greater numbers came seeking counsel and prayer from these radical disciples who are now making this place their home. Known simply as the Desert Fathers and Mothers, their lives became a potent prophetic challenge to the depravity of Roman society and the compromises of the newly Romanized church. And so, quite quickly, communities evolved around these prayer warriors, and that laid the foundations for Christian monasticism to come. And to give you a sense of what a big deal this was, at one time, it's estimated that there were as many as 700 monasteries located just here in Egypt's Nitrian desert on the northwestern Nile Delta, hubbed around 3 great centers, Nitria, Keria, and Sketis. Today, only Sketis, which is this region, remains inhabited with 4 working monasteries. The Desert Fathers and Mothers were definitely colorful characters. They had names like Paul the Barber, John the Eunuch, Moses the Strong, and Olympia the Younger. And they quickly became famous for their radical discipleship, their powerful prayers, and their insights, which were simple, timeless, and profound. For instance, I'm challenged by the words of a desert father called Piman the Shepherd, who said that if you have the mentality of an exile in the place where you live, you will have peace. Am I too much at home in the world? How much of the anxiety and stress in my life is generated by unhealthy attachments to things and places? Another of the Desert Fathers, Nilus of Sinai, described prayer rather beautifully, I think, as the seed of gentleness and the absence of anger. I love that. To pray is to plant seeds of gentleness into the world. The Desert Mother Syncletica of Alexandria noted rather dryly that, well, there are many who live as hermits, alone up in the mountains, and behave as if they were in the town. And yet it is possible, she says, to be a solitary in one's mind whilst living in a crowd. I think I know in my own life that I often fantasize that if I could just kind of get away from it all on some extended retreat, I'd magically become closer to Jesus. But maybe this Lent I'm being invited instead to find space in my own mind, not instead of, but in spite of and in the middle of the busyness of life. The Desert Fathers and Mothers can seem a bit archaic, esoteric, and irrelevant to our modern digital world. But nothing could be further from the truth. Like us, they craved silence, solitude, and spirituality in a busy, noisy, confusing world, dropping off grid in search of a simpler, truer life. Like many people today, they'd bravely endured years of persecution. Like many, they were also endeavoring to navigate an era in which Christianity was increasingly politicized by the superpower of their day. And like us, they were hungry for holiness, troubled by the compromised state of the church, which was looking less and less like Jesus the more power and prestige it gained. And then there's another way the Desert Fathers and Mothers relate to our lives in this season of Lent. Just as Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days to pray and fast and wrestle with temptation, So the desert fathers and mothers entered the desert to do precisely these same things. And just as the people of Israel wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, receiving the law not far from here on Mount Sinai, so the desert fathers and mothers received wisdom and revelation even as they eked out an existence in the Egyptian and Syrian desert. The 40 days of Lent are a time to enter the wilderness with Christ, to push into prayer and to grow spiritually. What better companions could there possibly be for such a journey than these ancient, desert-dwelling prayer warriors whose witness echoes down the ages and whose wisdom remains radical and relevant for us today?